Imagine a country that can build nuclear bombs powerful enough to wipe out entire cities. Yet its people still live in darkness, cooking with firewood, studying by candlelight. How can North Korea master the deadliest weapon of the century, but fail to build a single nuclear power plant to light up its own homes? The answer lies in history, geography, and a relentless obsession with survival. Tonight, we uncover the chilling truth behind North Korea's nuclear paradox. Imagine standing in Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, on a winter's night. From above, satellites show the Korean peninsula split in two, the south blazing with light, the north almost completely black, with just a faint glow around Pyongyang. How can a country that has mastered the deadliest weapon of the 21st century still leave its people in the dark? Why can they build nuclear bombs but not nuclear power plants to light up homes and factories? The answer lies in geography, history, and above all, survival. Peninsula torn apart. The Korean peninsula has always been a battlefield of giants. China, Japan, Russia, and later the United States, each has fought for influence over this small strip of land. After World War II, the peninsula was cut in half. The north backed by the Soviet Union, the south by the United States. This was not just a line on a map. It was the beginning of one of the most dangerous confrontations of the modern era. For North Korea, every decision since then has been shaped by a single fear: invasion. So, what would you do if you were the leader of a poor, war-torn country, surrounded by rivals? For Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, the answer was clear: build a weapon so powerful that no one would dare attack. The first seeds of the nuclear dream. In the 1950s, the Korean War left the peninsula in ruins. Cities destroyed, millions dead, families torn apart. North Korea needed energy to rebuild and weapons to defend itself. The Soviet Union stepped in, building a nuclear research center at Yongbyon, about 100 kilometers from Pyongyang. Officially, it was for peaceful purposes: research, medicine, maybe even energy someday. But behind the scenes, North Korean scientists were being trained in uranium processing and plutonium extraction, the keys to making nuclear bombs. The choice of location was no accident. Yongbyon lies in a mountainous region, difficult to access and easy to hide from foreign eyes. Secrecy was built into the foundations. Betrayal and self-reliance. When the U.S. deployed nuclear weapons in South Korea, Pyongyang felt more threatened than ever. Kim Il-sung asked China and the Soviet Union for help in building nuclear weapons. Both said no. They feared an unpredictable North Korea armed with the bomb. So North Korea decided to go it alone. By the 1980s, they built their own reactor at Yongbyon. But instead of designing it to generate electricity, they optimized it for one thing only: producing plutonium. Why? Because in their eyes, a nuclear bomb was worth far more than a nuclear power plant. A bomb could keep enemies away. A power plant could only keep the lights on. Guns or light bulbs? Think of it this way. Imagine you only have enough money for two things: a gun to protect yourself or a light bulb to brighten your house. In an emergency, what would you choose? North Korea chose the gun. Building a nuclear power plant is incredibly complex. It requires advanced technology, international cooperation, stable water supplies, and strict safety measures. One mistake could mean a disaster like Chernobyl or Fukushima. North Korea, isolated and under sanctions, simply didn't have the means. But building a reactor that produces plutonium for weapons? That was easier, and far more valuable in the game of survival. Shadows of secrecy. As the world watched South Korea transform into an industrial powerhouse, North Korea built its identity in shadows. While Seoul glowed with neon signs and high-rise towers, Pyongyang doubled down on its hidden laboratories, its underground tunnels, its secret facilities tucked into mountains. The Yongbyon complex became the heart of a mystery. Foreign intelligence agencies tracked it from satellites, counting smokestacks, analyzing reactor size, estimating how much plutonium could be produced. Every puff of steam raised questions. How close were they to the bomb? North Korea rarely gave answers. Silence became its most powerful weapon. A dangerous bargain. The 1990s were a turning point. North Korea was collapsing from famine, its people starving, its economy shattered. Many believed the regime would fall, but instead, Pyongyang played its most dangerous card, the nuclear program. Reports surfaced that North Korea was trading missile and nuclear technology with Pakistan and Iran. Knowledge for survival, secrets for food and fuel. At the same time, negotiations with the United States began. North Korea promised to freeze parts of its nuclear program in exchange for aid and the promise of light water reactors. Reactors that could generate electricity, not bombs. For a moment, it seemed the lights might finally come on in North Korea. But trust quickly eroded. Accusations flew from both sides. Construction stalled. And the deal collapsed. Once again, Pyongyang turned back to the shadows. The sword over the shield. By the 2000s, North Korea faced a choice. Invest in nuclear energy for its people or nuclear weapons for its survival. The decision was swift. The regime revived a centuries-old Korean proverb. It is better to be a living tiger than a dead horse. Nuclear weapons, they believed, would guarantee survival. Nuclear energy was a luxury. The program accelerated. Yongbyon expanded. Missiles were tested over the Sea of Japan. Each launch, each underground detonation, was a message to the world. We are still here. We cannot be ignored. But while missiles roared into the sky, villages across the country remained in darkness. Families cooked with firewood. Children studied by candlelight. Factories stood silent. The contrast was staggering. A nation with the power to build weapons that could devastate cities abroad, but unable to power the homes of its own people. The nuclear paradox. By 2017, North Korea had conducted 6 nuclear tests. Analysts estimated it now possessed between 50 and 100 warheads, small compared to the US or Russia, but enough to reshape global politics. At the same time, its electricity grid remained fragile. Blackouts struck even Pyongyang. In rural areas, many families had never experienced 24 hours of continuous electricity. Why? Because for Pyongyang, nuclear weapons were not just about technology. They were about symbolism. A nuclear bomb was not only a shield against invasion. It was proof of defiance, a message to the world. We are poor, we are isolated, but we are powerful. A nuclear power plant, by contrast, required openness, inspections, cooperation with outsiders. It demanded trust, something the regime was never willing to give. Power or darkness? Today, in 2025, the paradox remains. North Korea may soon have intercontinental missiles capable of striking the United States. Yet its own people still walk streets lit only by moonlight. For the leadership in Pyongyang, this is not a contradiction, it is a strategy. Nuclear weapons guarantee survival. Nuclear energy, in their eyes, guarantees vulnerability. But the cost is immense. Decades of sanctions. An economy that lags behind even the poorest nations. Millions of citizens trapped in cycles of poverty and scarcity. So we return to the question, why bombs, not electricity? Because for North Korea's leaders, survival always outweighs comfort. A single weapon can silence enemies, but a single light bulb cannot. And that is the haunting truth of North Korea's nuclear story. A nation that chose darkness at home in exchange for fear abroad. Look again at the map of the Korean peninsula at night. The south glows like a jewel. Every city alive with electricity. Every street shining. The north remains dark, a vast emptiness, broken only by a dim halo over Pyongyang. That darkness is not just a lack of light. It is a symbol of choices made, of priorities drawn, of a regime that placed the roar of missiles above the hum of turbines, the flash of nuclear fire above the glow of electric lamps. For decades, North Korea's leaders have insisted that survival depends on weapons, not wires. And in a way, they succeeded. No foreign army dares to invade. No rival dares to ignore them. Their nuclear arsenal is their throne of power. But survival comes at a cost. A cost measured not in missiles, but in empty dinner tables, cold houses, and silent factories. The people live in darkness, so the leadership can stand in the spotlight of fear. And so the question lingers, what is true power? Is it the ability to destroy cities half a world away? Or the ability to light every home in your own land? Until that question is answered, the North Korean night will remain what it has always been, a land of silence, shadows, and secrets.